Hello, and welcome back once again to Infinite Jeff, the project where I, Jeff, read the book Infinite Jest to you one day, page at a time, one day at a time, put it up on the YouTubes for all to hear, for one to hear, for none to hear. Well, Infinite Jest is a book by David Foster Wallace, and, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just get right to page 167. 167. Here we go. Have been a bulbous, goo-filled widow I stepped and slipped on, Jim. A spider, a mad rogue spider, come down on its thread into the shade, flabby and crawling, or that leapt suicidally right from an overhanging frond onto the court, probably making a slight, flabby, hideous sound when it landed, crawling around on its claws, blinking grotesquely in the hot light it hated, that I stepped on rushing forward and killed and slipped on the mess the big loathsome spider made. See these scars, all knotted and ragged, like something had torn at my own body's knees, the way a slouching Brando would just rip a letter open with his teeth and let the envelope fall to the floor all wet and rent and torn. All the palms along the fence were sick. They had palm rot. It was the year A.D. 1933 of the great Bisbee palm rot epidemic, all through the state. They were losing their fronds, and the fronds were blighted and the color of really old olives in those old slim jars at the very back of the refrigerator, and exuded a sick sort of pus-like slippery discharge, and sometimes abruptly fell from trees curving back and forth through the air like celluloid pirates' paper swords. God, I hate fronds, Jim. I'm thinking it could have been either a daytime latrodectus or some pus from a frond. The wind blew cruddy pus from the webbed fronds onto the court, maybe, up near the net. Either way, something poisonous or infected, at any rate, unexpected and slick. All it takes is a second, you're thinking, Jim. The body betrays you, and down you go, on your knees, sliding on sandpaper court. Not so, son. I used to have another flask like this, smaller, a rather more cunning silver flask, in the glove compartment of my Montclair. Your devoted mother did something to it. The subject has never been mentioned between us. Not so. It was a foreign body, or a substance, not my body, and if anybody did any betraying that day, I'm telling you, sonny kid boy, it was something I did, Jimmer. I might well have betrayed that fine young, lithe, tan, unslumped body. I might well have gotten rigid, overconscious, careless of it, listening for what my father, who I respected that man, Jim, is what's sick. I knew he was there. I was conscious of his flat face and Filter's long shadow. I knew him, Jim. Things were different when I was growing up, Jim. I hate saying something like this. This things were different when I was a lad type cliche shit. The sort of cliche fathers back then spouted, assuming he said anything at all. But it was different. Our kids, my generation's kids, this post-Brando crowd, you new kids can't like or dislike us or respect us or not as human beings, Jim. Your parents. No, wait, you don't have to pretend to disagree. You don't have to say it, Jim, because I know it. I could have predicted it, watching Brando and Dean and the rest, and I know it, so don't splutter. I blame no one your age, boyo. You see parents as kind or unkind, or kind or happy or miserable or drunk or sober or great or near great or failed, the way that you see a table square or a Montclair lip red. You kids today somehow don't know how to feel, much less love, to say nothing of respect. We're just to the end of page 167. That's where we are. On Infinite Jeff. Reading Infinite Jest. It's Infinite Jeff's. Yeah, 2/3 through the way the 200s, so that's yeah, we're cranking it out. Night.